Under the blood moon, her old pack came for her one last time. But the rogue Alpha didn't just fight for her. He claimed her with the kind of certainty that ends wars or starts them. The blood moon did not rise gently. It climbed the sky like a living thing, slow, deliberate, heavy with color. The faint red hue that had glowed at its edge now deepened, washing across the land in muted crimson. Shadows sharpened, the air thickened. Even the stone beneath their feet felt different, vibrating faintly as if the earth itself recognized what had been invoked. Lucas stood at the center of the marked ground, shoulders squared despite the blood seeping through the bandages beneath his jacket. He faced the open valley without flinching. She stood beside him, not behind. He didn't ask her to. He didn't try to move her. Not anymore. One by one, the packs approached the boundary of the forbidden land, not crossing, not speaking, simply watching, waiting. The weight of their stares pressed heavy, colder than the wind. "They're afraid," she whispered. "No," Lucas said quietly. "They're anticipating." "Judgment?" "Yes." She swallowed hard. "Whose?" "Mine first," he said. "Then theirs." More figures gathered, forming a semicircle along the ridge. Elders, alphas, enforcers, not unified. Separate faces, separate loyalties, but bound now by the invocation none of them could ignore. Because once Blood Moon ground was called, everyone who heard it became witness. Everyone who stepped closer became part of the outcome. A single elder stepped forward, his voice carrying easily on the charged air. "Lucas of the fallen line," he called out, "you invoke judgment under the blood moon?" "I do." "You stand as exile. I stand as protector." Murmurs rippled across the ridge. "You stand accused of breaking pack law." "And holding it," Lucas replied. "You claim right to challenge authority?" "I claim right to answer it." The elder's gaze shifted to her. "And she?" he asked. Silence thickened. She felt Lucas's presence shift, subtle but unmistakable, as if he were bracing himself for something he had known would come. "She stands under your protection," the elder said, "but not under your name." A deep, humming tension spread across the valley. This was the moment. Every pack leaned forward, no one breathing. Lucas spoke first. "She stands because I would have died for her before I ever spoke her name aloud," he said. "But today, the land requires truth." Her breath caught. He turned to her then, not rushed, not hesitant, certain. The world narrowed to the space between them. "You can turn back," he said softly. "No," she whispered. "You understand what speaking your name here means." She did. "It binds you to judgment," he said, "to consequence, to me." Her pulse thundered. "Then speak it." He exhaled once, slow, steady, final. His hand rose, not touching her, but hovering just close enough that she felt the warmth of him. He faced the gathered packs, and with a voice that carried through stone and shadow and blood moon air, he spoke. "Her name is Kara Frost." The words did not echo. They settled. The air shifted the instant the name left Lucas's mouth, pressure deepening, the marked stone beneath their feet resonating faintly as though recognizing a truth long withheld. A low murmur rippled through the ranks along the ridge, not surprise, but recognition. Names always found their way home. Several heads lifted sharply. An elder cursed under his breath. One alpha stiffened, eyes narrowing as the implications struck fast and hard. "Kara Frost," the elder repeated slower now, "of the northern line." She felt it then, the invisible line snap shut around her fate. Not like chains, like gravity. "Yes," Lucas said, "that Kara Frost." Silence followed, not uncertainty, calculation. "You speak her name under blood moon claim," the elder said. "Do you understand the consequence of that act?" "I do," Lucas replied. "And you accept it?" I accept judgment, he said, for myself and for the protection I claim. The elder turned his attention fully to her. Kara Frost, do you stand willingly beneath his protection? Every instinct in her body screamed at her to hesitate. She didn't. Yes. The word carried clean and clear. A sharp intake of breath came from the ridge. A few voices rose at once, arguments starting before they could be checked. She was promised. She cannot be bound to a rogue. The Frost line answers to... Enough, the elder snapped. The murmurs died instantly. Blood Moon ground does not recognize promises, the elder said coldly. It recognizes choice. His gaze returned to Lucas. You bind her fate to yours. I always have, Lucas said. The honesty in it landed harder than any declaration. Then the challenge stands, the elder declared. You will answer for the taking that led to your exile. Lucas inclined his head once. And you, the elder continued, eyes sharp, will answer for defiance. Lucas's mouth curved, not in amusement, but something far more dangerous. I welcome it. The land answered first. A deep, thrumming pulse rolled outward from the marked ground, rattling stone and bone alike. The blood moon climbed higher, fully revealed now, dark red, swollen, watching. The first challenger stepped forward. An alpha taller than most, broad and confident, insignia heavy at his throat. He did not look at Kara. His focus was locked on Lucas. You were exiled because you acted alone, the alpha said, because you refused unity. I stand for the packs you abandoned. Lucas didn't draw his blade. You stand for convenience, he replied. I stand for what you were afraid to do. The alpha snarled and lunged. The fight was brutal and fast. Lucas moved with lethal economy, every strike measured, every step grounded despite injury. He gave ground where needed, drew the alpha into overreach, then ended it with a sharp twist and a blow that sent the challenger crashing into the stone. Silence followed. The alpha did not rise, not dead, but broken enough that no one needed to ask who had won. Another challenger stepped forward, then another. Each time, the land held. Each time, Lucas stood. Blood soaked the marked stone now, his and theirs both. But he did not fall. He did not retreat. When his knees finally hit the ground, it was not defeat, but necessity. And still, he rose again. Kara never moved. She stood where she had been bound, hands clenched at her sides, heart pounding with a terrible, undeniable clarity. He was not fighting for power. He was fighting because no one else ever had. At last, the final alpha approached. This one did not draw steel. You have proven strength, the alpha said, but strength alone does not make rightful rule. No, Lucas agreed hoarsely. It never did. Then why should we kneel? Lucas turned, just once, toward Kara. His gaze met hers, steady despite the blood, the pain, the cost. Because when the law failed, he said, voice carrying across the land, I acted. When silence protected monsters, I broke it, and when judgment demanded a name, I gave it. He faced the ridge again. I will lead without fear, he continued, or I will die without regret. The blood moon flared, the ground stilled. One by one, slowly, unmistakably, the alphas along the ridge lowered their heads, not all, but enough. The elder stepped forward once more, voice heavy with finality. Lucas Blackthorn, he said, the blood moon recognizes your claim. A tremor rippled through the land. You rise, the elder continued, not as rogue, but as alpha. The words struck like thunder. Lucas swayed, breath catching, but he did not fall. And Kara Frost, the elder said, turning to her, you stand not as contested, but as chosen. The world seemed to exhale. Lucas crossed the short distance between them then, stopping just close enough that she could feel him. Solid, real, alive. "You stood," he said quietly. "So did you." His hand lifted at last, fingers brushing her cheek with reverence born of survival, not softness. "I would do it again," he said. "I know," she replied. Around them, the packs knelt fully now, or turned away, retreating from a judgment they no longer had claim to challenge. Above them, the blood moon began its slow descent. Judgment had been rendered, and the land had chosen its alpha. They did not speak at first. The packs withdrew slowly, some kneeling, some turning away, the ridge emptying until only the wind and the moon remained. The blood moon lingered overhead, its color fading from deep red toward something softer, less severe. The ground beneath them felt still again. Lucas stood a few steps away now, the tension that had carried him through the trials finally loosening. Blood darkened his clothes. His breath was heavy. He had won, but winning had cost him. Kara moved first, not rushing, not hesitating. She crossed the marked stone and stopped in front of him, close enough that she could see the strain in his eyes, the controlled tremor in his hands where he kept them at his sides, as if unsure whether he was allowed to touch her now that everything had changed. "You're hurt," she said. "Yes." "You won't admit how badly." "No." A corner of her mouth lifted faintly. She reached for him then. Not to steady him, though he needed it, but to choose him. Her hands came to rest against his chest, fingers spreading deliberately over the place where his heart beat strong and fast beneath her palms. The contact broke something in him. He inhaled sharply, shoulders dipping as if releasing a breath he had been holding since the night he found her bleeding in the forest. "You don't owe me anything," he said quietly. "I know," she replied. "That's why I'm here." Her hands stayed where they were, confident, certain. "This wasn't only your fight," she continued, "and I won't let it end as if it were." His gaze searched her face. "You understand what standing with me means?" "Yes." "What it will cost?" "Yes." "What it will demand?" "Yes." Her voice never wavered. "This wasn't protection," she said softly. "It was partnership, even before we had words for it." His throat worked as he swallowed. Slowly, carefully, as if giving her the chance to step away, he lifted his hands. He stopped just short of touching her. "May I?" he asked. The question mattered. She answered by closing the last inch herself, her body aligning with his, her forehead resting lightly against his chest. Her arms slipped around his waist, holding him there with intent. "Yes," she said against him. His hands came around her then, settling at her back, firm but reverent, grounding himself through her presence. He rested his forehead against the top of her head, breath shuddering out of him at last. "This is not law," she murmured. "This is us." "It's enough," he replied. She tilted her face up, eyes meeting his in the quiet space between heartbeats. There was no rush, no need to prove anything. When she kissed him, it was slow and deliberate, her choice clear in the way she leaned into him, the way her hand curved at the back of his neck and held him there. He answered her without urgency, the kiss deepening, not with hunger, but with relief. Two people finally allowed to stop bracing for impact. When they parted, he rested his brow against hers. "Stay," he said softly. "I already am." The moon faded further, its red washed out by the coming dawn. Around them, the land returned to itself. Lucas straightened slowly, one arm still around Kara as he faced the horizon. The first light of morning crept over the stone, pale and clean. "Alpha Blackthorn," a voice called from a distance, an elder waiting at the edge of the ground. Lucas did not answer. Kara shifted beside him, her grip tightening briefly, as if to remind him where he stood now. He looked down at her, a faint, real smile touching his mouth. "When they ask what you are to me," he said quietly, "what should I tell them?" She didn't hesitate. "Mate, that I chose you," she said, "and you chose me. Everything else follows." His smile deepened. "Then that's what I'll tell them." He turned back toward the waiting world with Kara at his side, not behind him, not sheltered, but standing in equal step as dawn broke fully over the land. The blood moon vanished beyond the horizon, and the rogue Alpha did not walk alone anymore. The new territory didn't feel like the old pack lands. Not yet. The borders were still half wild, marked only by fresh stone and scent. The houses had been rebuilt, but carried the faint smell of new timber and drying thatch. Trails twisted differently than memory suggested, reshaped by time and disuse. Wolves patrolled more slowly here, still learning what it meant to move under an alpha who didn't demand fear in place of loyalty. But there was calm. For the first time in years, Kara woke to silence that wasn't warning. The cottage they had taken stood near the edge of the new settlement, small enough to feel private, with a porch overlooking forest and sky. Morning light poured softly across the bed, warm against her skin as she curled beneath the blankets. Lucas was already awake. He sat at the small table across the room, bare-chested, his injured side wrapped neatly. A map was spread before him, territories redrawn, alliances shifting, but his eyes weren't on it. He was watching her. She smiled without lifting her head. "You're staring." "Yes. You do it a lot." "I have reason." She stretched slowly, letting the early warmth loosen her muscles. "You could come back to bed." "I could," he said, "but then neither of us would get up today." She laughed softly and rolled onto her back. He rose then, crossing the small space with the quiet confidence of someone who no longer needed to brace for attack. He sat on the edge of the bed, hand brushing a strand of her hair away from her face. "How long have you been awake?" she asked. "Long enough?" "To think?" "To watch." She nudged his thigh gently with her foot. "Lucas," he ran a thumb along her cheekbone, slow and deliberate. "I watched you breathe once," he said, "to make sure you would." Her smile faded into something softer. "And now?" "Now I watch because I can." She reached up, fingers curling lightly around his wrist. "You don't have to guard me anymore." "I know," he said, "but I'm allowed to want to." She tugged lightly, guiding him down beside her. He lay back without resistance, letting her stretch against his side, her head settling into the space beneath his collarbone. His arm wrapped around her instinctively, drawing her closer. For a long moment, neither spoke. The world outside was quiet. The distant sound of wolves training, the wind through new leaves, the steady rhythm of Lucas's heartbeat beneath her ear. She traced a scar across his ribs with feather-light touch. "Does it still feel strange?" she asked. "What?" "Being Alpha again." His breath eased out slowly. "It feels right. Not because I wanted it back, because I know what to do with it now." She lifted her head to look at him. "And us?" He didn't answer immediately, but his thumb gently swept across her lower lip, an intimate, unhurried touch that grounded them both. "You're not part of my title," he said. "You're part of my life." She felt her chest warm. "And what does that make me?" He kissed her forehead, then her cheek, then the corner of her mouth. Slow, deliberate, each one an answer by itself. "Mine," he said softly. "Mate. By your choice, and by mine." She shifted closer, her hand splayed over the steady thrum of his heart. "Good." Outside, the sun climbed higher, warming the cottage walls. Inside, they stayed tangled together a while longer, the world no longer demanding movement, judgment, or sacrifice. Just presence, just breath, just peace, earned the hard way. Lucas's hand slid into hers, their fingers linking with quiet certainty. "This," he said, voice low against her hair, is what comes after. Kara smiled into his skin. And we're here for all of it.